learned from your parents and
Mm-hmm.
homeschooling, in a way, I'm not saying school brainwashes you,
Mm-hmm.
but school is there to get people through society,
Mm-hmm.
getting ready to work
Mm-hmm.
as a worker in these big organization and businesses. But you've seemed to have not gone through that schooling education route. You've learnt off your granddad, who's, you know, someone who's good in business, your dad who's good in business, and you've been around them people, you've learned the art. It's almost like you know body language,
Mm-hmm.
how somebody's energy is,
Mm-hmm.
their aura,
Yeah.
rather than like a robot or someone who's just gone through. I went to school today and I learned about dinosaurs, and it's like, hey, hang on, how's that going to help you?
Mm.
You're like, well, I was in a van today and I went to try flog some of these rolls of, you know, tissues and stuff, and they said no to me. How do I make that work next time? Like, do you think there's a difference because you haven't gone through fully through that education route?
Absolutely, because the reason it's beneficial to me that I didn't go through that educational route is because I started my businesses, or I started in the world of business when I was 16 properly. I had a limited company when I was 16, right, which is
Mm.
still growing, which is Best Park Homes, right, which is my mobile home park company,
Okay.
which I have two mobile home parks at the moment, which will soon be a portfolio of 5, 6, 7. However, like I say, I started my business when I was 16. If I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but a business isn't supposed to be, or it's not usual. It's unusual for a business to be making a profit within the first 3 years. So if you come out of school and go through college and go to sixth form and you've started your business when you're 21 and it's not making a profit till you're 24, and I started my business when I was 16, it's just I've got 10 years worth of experience, 10 years worth of mistakes that can all help me today. And that's where I think it was beneficial. There's also so much
Hmm.
education that I would have lost out on. But thankfully, how everything's planned out, I didn't even need the education that I've got. All I needed to do was be able to read and be all right with maths. And I'm
Hmm.
actually very good,
Hmm.
right? But all I needed to do was be able to read, which I learned to read and write through social media. And I needed to know how to do maths. That's all you need to do to be a good entrepreneur. Now, you have to learn a lot, and you're going to make mistakes and you're going to fail. And in the world of business, failing and not making a success is losing money, which none of us want to do. But with that 10 years worth of experience, it's going to set you up. Like if you start at 21, 22, right, any expert or superstar in their field, boxers, footballers, golfers, uh, uh, swimmers, runners, when do they start? They don't start when they're 21, 22. So there are people that do start late and do very well. However, most of them, if you got 100, only there'd be 5 of those. And it's the same in business. And that's what I try
Hmm.
to be. I try to be a professional
Hmm.
entrepreneur. And the thing is about an entrepreneur, I'm an entrepreneur businessman
Hmm.
because I love business and I love making money.
Hmm. But you're a certain
Hmm.
type of businessman, Alfie. Like what we're talking about, that's the, you know, trajectory people go on in terms of if they're starting at 16 or 23. But when I'm getting underneath the
Hmm.
surface now, and like there's so much, you know, in the news and brainwashing. Like at school, if I was called fat, you're called fat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just like you got called a name.
Hmm.
It's okay. Now it's like your child will come home and go, "I got body shamed
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
They said that to me. I'm never gonna go to school again." It's like
Yeah.
a little bit of failure, and they
Hmm.
don't know how to combat it. It's like society looks like it's getting weaker and weaker,
Hmm.
and it looks like you've got something different in terms of your to become an entrepreneur. You've got to be quite solid underneath the skin. There's a lot of stuff that you take in every single day that you just walk straight through, whereas other people, 1, 2 stones come and they're like, no, I'm giving up on this business, or they keep saying no to me. Like, what is that difference in you, you think?
Well, I'll be honest with you. This country is it. It doesn't want entrepreneurs. It doesn't want them. There's everything put in place for you not to start a business, not to help, for you not to start a business. And if you want, the way I see it, and this is only my opinion, I think the government pretty much teach you. or they're trying to teach you from a young age how your life's going to be. Like, the school teachers, the government, and you abide by our rules, and that's how it's got to happen. And all your money, we want 40% of it. And I understand tax. I believe I live in a country, and I do. You owe a tax. Do you know what I mean? I owe a duty for that, for living in a country in a beautiful place. I understand it's been going on for years, but what we get charged here is ridiculous. We get bled 40% on personal income tax. It's but how that listen now. Again, you have to get over that and think, right, well, I'm going to have to go and make more money then, or I'm going to make a better business. But people look at this before they even start, and that's why there is a lot of people that don't even start. It's not that they start and failed; they don't even bother. They look and think, "Oh, forget it." But I do genuinely believe that schools are very much set up like how a lot of people are living outside of school. You abide by our rules, you do what we tell you to do, and it's as simple as that.
Some high-profile people say, I want to give my kids the best education, private schooling, extra tuition, maybe piano lessons, give them as much as possible at a young age, challenges. But how do you also get that balance of, hey, hang on, that isn't everything. Come here, we've also got business, or I want to introduce you to a friend who has a business. How do you get that right balance?
To be honest with you, I believe that the best thing about the education of what you just said about parents wanting to give their kids the best education, I don't think it really makes a difference between a good school and a bad school. I think wherever you go, they're pretty much going to learn how to read, how to write, how to do maths, which is very basic stuff, which that's all I believe. I think, from then on in, we've got our own mind. We move on to whatever we want to learn or move forward. How many people go through school and actually use what they've learned in primary school, apart from reading or writing, in the industry that they get involved in? Not much. Has Henry VIII ever been brought up to you? Did you get taught him in school?
Yeah.
You did? Okay, then. I don't even know some math sums, what they have on a board. I couldn't even tell you what they look like. But have you ever come up against a math sign where you've got to do 5 squared?
Simultaneous equations? No, I never used it before.
We haven't. No. Exactly. This is what I'm saying. So, we learn to read and write. We learn to do maths, and that's what does set us up for the entrepreneurial world. However, it is hard out there. It's very hard to earn money. Very hard to set up a business. But the things, I'm not saying don't do it, but it's hard. It's not that. You genuinely face failure after failure after failure, and then boom, you have some success. And then you go failure, boom, success, because you're adding experience up after all your failures, putting that to good use, and now it's paying off. Because when you're approaching something after you've failed so many times, you're not just turning up as somebody who's failed. You're turning up with somebody who's got 10 times the experience now. So that's why I think persistence is also very good. But go on.
Tell us a little bit about, I want a prediction from you now. You said the UK is not going in a good way.
It's not that I'm not saying it's going in a good way. I just disagree. I think that the tax is extortionate here in the UK, and they don't support businesses, and they're not pushing for entrepreneurs. That's all I say. Our schools are not set up to make entrepreneurs. Do you understand where I'm coming from? And what you were saying about the best of educations, I never come round to telling you, but the best thing about putting your kid into a private school is not the education they're going to get. It's the network of children that are in that school who are going to grow up, because their mums and dads are going to be pushing their children, i.e. to be doctors, lawyers, solicitors, all people that will become very useful further down your life. Now, I'm not saying you have to make best friends with everybody, but my theory behind being successful is to make yourself successful, make yourself want to be known by people, make yourself useful, and make yourself valuable. So then you can attract people that are useful and valuable. And then that partnership, you don't have to be best friends, but you must know, right, yeah, I know he can do that, and I know he can do that. We could swap favours, and that helps you an awful lot going along life. Now, I'd like to say friends, but I'm sure you've got somebody you stay in touch with. Now, you haven't got to lie to me, or you can, but I'm sure you've got someone that you stay in touch with that's not your friend. You'll hear their bullshit because what they can do for you. And they probably do the same for you.
Probably, yeah.
You know, and that's why I believe that we should make ourselves valuable, like experts in our field. That's what you should aim towards.
And that's also an art as well, to hold on to a person in your network. You're like, I didn't like what you said, but you know, I do need to get
You're
this thing
useful. I
done.
can't fall out with you over that.
Yeah.
You're worth too much.
It's true. But
You
not,
know?
but some people will just, oh fuck off, I
Yeah.
don't give a shit. And the next minute later on,